Hello. Welcome to our Good Talk with Katy. I'm Katy Gaul-Stigge. I have the honor of being the president and CEO of Goodwill New Jersey. Welcome to our second event. I'm really excited for you to be here tonight to meet the individual who created that beautiful music that we just heard, and to tell you a little bit about what we do here at Goodwill. So I hope you're here to join, to learn a little bit about Goodwill, to get inspired, and really, I'm looking forward to learning more tonight. So the idea here is to learn about our mission. Our mission is to bulldoze barriers to employment and help everyone. And really, it's to see a world where everyone's value is respected and seen, and we really have a vision of a world with no barriers to employment, and that no talent is left on the sidelines. I couldn't remember it for a second. I say it every day, but for a second I couldn't quite remember. But most people know the stores, which are wonderful. And if you're someone who's joining us today who just thinks of Goodwill as the store, we have got a lot more to tell you about. While I'm wearing thrift, as always, we love that you support us and you came through this way, but wait till you hear what we do with those donations and that impact. In fact, we serve people with behavioral health issues, and you may not know a lot about that, but mental health and the stigma of mental health has gotten a lot of attention in the recent years. We've really been working and advocating to remove barriers to mental illness with, Stop the Stigma and other really important work. But mental illness contributes, and most people will be affected by it in their family and their community. Unfortunately, over 25% of people that are experiencing homelessness have mental illness. And tonight we're going to talk about how what Goodwill does really impacts those statistics and really makes a difference in individuals' lives, where we really remove some of that stigma, create the kind of community that allows for healing, and even allows people to move out of homelessness and into a housed situation. Which is, where everyone wants to be. So you don't need to hear from me. I am a social worker, but it's been a long time since I did the direct work that you're going to hear from these two wonderful women tonight. So let me just go right to the expert, Carlene Dalton. She's our Senior Vice President of Behavioral Health Services. I want to hear directly from you a little bit. What are behavioral health services, and what do we do here at Goodwill? How many people do we serve, and what are kind of the core functions that we're trying to do with our services?
Yeah, thank you. Good night, Katy. I'm so happy to be here and speaking with you about this. This is something I've been doing for a very long time. So this is a very important topic, the topic of mental illness.
It says right here, you've been doing this.
Yeah, I started really young. So we here at Goodwill, we have 6 behavioral health programs. 2 are Clubhouse programs, which we're going to talk a lot about tonight, but we also have 2 PROS programs, which is Personalized Recovery Services. Those are PROS Rebound and CMARC PROS. We also have a Peer Advocacy Leadership Program, which is a peer-run program offering peer supports to individuals living in the community. We have an Assisted Competitive Employment. It's an employment program for people with mental illness who are interested in getting back to work. And of course, the 2 clubhouses, which is the topic of conversation tonight. Our behavioral health programs provide to anyone with a mental illness in the metro area services around counseling and emotional supports, psychiatric care and medication management, assistance finding and keeping a job, linkages to various other community resources, such as housing, which is so important to a lot of folks living in the city. Of course, vocational training, opportunities for socialization, and wellness supports, just all around wellness, keeping people well and in the community. Last year, we served over 1,400 individuals living with mental illness. We help them to stay healthy. We help them to find jobs. We help them to stay out of the hospitals in a year that was, very stressful for everyone, of course.
Or we didn't want in the hospital that didn't need to be in the hospital.
Exactly. You know, these were very vital services during the pandemic. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Association said that during 2019, there were 4 times as many people who reported anxiety and depression symptoms. So obviously, right, there was definitely a lot of need for services during that year. People receiving our behavioral health services were deeply affected when our programs had to close because of governmental mandates in March of last year. Our team first provided fully remote services, and then we quickly replicated those behavioral health services over a telehealth platform in order to reduce isolation and stem some of that feelings of loneliness that we all were experiencing in that year. The pandemic also underscored the digital divide. For those who receive our services, many did not have a smartphone, they did not have tablets or internet access. And so we provided over 18,600 telehealth services.
Wow.
A lot. There was 120 health and wellness events that we did remotely.
Right.
We offered 291 socialization events, again, really trying to reduce that isolation. And then we had 62 employment events over the course of that year.
So for someone who might not know who comes to clubhouses and, and maybe what is a socialization event?
That's a great question. So we service adults, anyone over the age of 18 with a mental illness disorder. A socialization event could be something as simple as the celebration of someone's 50th birthday, right? That's a milestone. We all can agree that that's a big deal and should be celebrated. So it might be something as simple as that. It might also be something around like how do you engage in conversation? How do you talk to other folks? How do you introduce yourself? How do you prepare for a job interview? I know that's not so much of a socialization event, but there's a social component to it, having to have a conversation with a potential employer. And so things like that.
Okay, that helps. That helps me understand it a lot better. So now, how do people find you? If people are interested, if people know a family member or they work in mental health, how would someone join a clubhouse? Because what I know and what we're going to hear about tonight is the clubhouse and the peer programs. These are really, supportive environments. They're not medical models. They are not, top down. To me, I always call these a social work dream. These are just really community focused places. And if that sounds right for someone that someone knows, how would they get involved?
Yes. A lot of our members for our clubhouse say it feels very much like home and family. And that is the atmosphere that we certainly try to create so that people have a place they can come to. For anyone who's interested, certainly for Goodwill, they can they can email us. They can email services@goodwillny.org. People can also visit our Goodwill website. It's www.goodwillnyNJ.org. And there they can follow the links to each of the programs that I've mentioned tonight. It has our contact information. They can reach out to us this way. Clubhouses and peer advocacy are programs offered by the city. Certainly there are directories out there that lists all of these programs that's offered by the city and Goodwill.
That's great, Carlene. What is your favorite thing about the work that Elizabeth and Kegan and everybody do at the clubhouses? What's your favorite part about?
I think I was reminded of this recently, and I hope Liz and Kegan talk about this. It's just how we can affect people's lives. I mean, I think we get so busy with the work and the day-to-day and the operations and things going by. And I'm really hopeful Kegan talks about his employment and what's going on for him, because once he talks about that, you'll see how the little things that we do really affects people's lives and the trajectory of their life, their wellness, just their whole being. It's an amazing job. It's amazing work that we do.
Thank you, Carlene. I know working with you is amazing. And I'm also going to have the honor of introducing Elizabeth Padilla, who is the director of our Lantern House up in the Bronx, in the beautiful Boogie Down, right at the subway. So convenient. And Liz also has more than 2 decades of experience in social work. So Liz, you know, why don't you just describe a little bit about what, if I walked in to the Clubhouse tomorrow, what would be the experience that I would have, and how would I be greeted there?
Wow. Thank you, Katie, for having me here this evening. I'm so proud to be a part of this team and to be a part of Goodwill and to provide the services that we provide on a daily basis. And before I go into that, I just want to say that, you know, Carlene mentioned earlier that it's the little things, and that's exactly what it is. It's the little moves that we do. When someone comes to our front door, the first thing they're going to be is embraced by the person who's sitting at the front desk. And not physically, of course, but right, verbally. Hi, how are you? Welcome to Lantern House. Please sign in. And people will sign in and they will immediately get a tour of the Clubhouse. You will be able to go to each unit, which is what we call our places of work assignment. We call them units. So we have something that's called the KWAM unit, which is kitchen, wellness, and media. And then we have the BEAMS unit, which is business, education, employment, and member services. So these 2 units have the work of the internal Clubhouse. So if you come in, we're going to give you a tour of the whole Clubhouse. We're going to show you the kitchen. We're going to show you our computer. We're going to show you how everything works. And then we're going to ask you, are you hungry? Would you like to join us for a meal today? And 9 times out of 10, people will say, yes, we will join you. And I think that with, you know, strong communication and just letting people in and sharing that first meal is such a powerful experience that people want to come back. And I really haven't seen too many people not wanting to come back after they get the initial tour of Lantern House. So yes, I think that it's important that every Clubhouse, wherever you are, that you open your doors and you make people feel that they're at home. That is so important. And moreover, safe.
That's great. And so, I guess, you know, one of my questions would be just sort of like, you know, I was thinking about you're saying home and safe, you know, how does Goodwill, you know, support that work that you do there? And what's our secret sauce to that?
Well, you know, I always say it starts at the top. And when the top is strong, it trickles down and it gives us the energy that we need to do our day-to-day. So when we have the support of all of Goodwill, it just makes the job so much easier. And it just makes coming to work enjoyable. And it doesn't feel like work. It feels like we're actually helping people and doing the right thing.
I'm sorry, there's a vice president here.
That's okay. He's welcome. Everyone is welcome.
Yeah, everybody's welcome. It's home. In fact,
everyone is welcome.
Everybody's bye. So, you know, we're all in this boat together there. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
But we all understand that this total change in times. So how did you guys change during the pandemic and the shutdowns and the isolation and the increase in mental illness? You know, how did you respond to that? Speaking of working from home and all of these changes and having my son, you know, pop into this live event.
Your son, my nieces too, by the way. So when we first were told we had to transition to working at home, I was frantic. You know, the membership was frantic. Everyone was like, what are we going to do? And, you know, my mind said, we're going to do what we've always done. We're going to continue to run the program, and we're going to do it virtually. And everything that we offered in person, we're going to try and mimic virtually. And that's exactly what we did. So we did all our meetings via Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
We did all our workshops via Zoom. We did all our socialization via Zoom. And we were consistent on having socializations every Saturday. So every Saturday, I would get up, 10 o'clock in the morning, Zoom, get on my bike and say, hey guys, I'm on my bike, let's go, let's do this. And if there was just one person that took advantage of it, that was fine. But we loved doing our socialization on Saturdays. It was awesome. I mean, it really helped people to exercise and let go of all that frustration of being at home. So a lot of things, and of course we shared Netflix. So I would put on a movie, and we would all watch it together, 5 or 6 of us, and we did all our planning. I think the key and why we were so successful in doing this is we took all the little steps that Carlene told us, just mentioned recently, and followed through. It's not a big plan, it was a little plan, and we followed through with it, and we were very successful. Currently, we have 158 active members at Lantern House, where our numbers are slowly inching up to meet our new contractual obligations. So we're very happy about that. Great. And, you know, it's just great the way we're able to offer, you know, services, not only on site now, but remotely, because now we're also virtual. We're a hybrid program now. So we also run virtually, and we run on site also. And I just want to say one more thing. Once a month, we used to come in and open our doors for those that could not have that ongoing connection with us. We would send them letters and ask them to come in once a month, so that we can assure that they were okay. And if there were any emergent needs that needed to happen, they would happen on the spot. So, you know.
I love it. Well, it's a nice segue to the individual we're going to meet, Kegan Palmer. Thank you for joining us at the Good Talk with Katy. I've met you several times. You are someone who is a true artist, and you know, again, you compose some music. I hope you're going to tell us a little bit about your art. You know, and why don't we start with, where were you before you came to Goodwill, and why did you walk in Elizabeth's store there?
So before I came to Goodwill, I was homeless, and I was in a shelter, and I decided to look for a clubhouse to go to that was near me. So it was convenient. It was in the Bronx, and I went to the clubhouse for the first time, and I wanted to come back a second time because I saw Ziora. I didn't know her name at the time, but she seemed very, very welcoming, and it's real. So the clubhouse, and then they offered me to eat and talk with them. So that was a great connection that I found. But in the midst of being in the shelter, there was a lot of struggle, but they helped me through it. You know, to have a companion that I could talk to, like the members and such like that. And
sorry.
To be honest, I was sort of hungry at the time. I'm trying not to hide my illness or anything. I was hungry, and they offered me to dine with them. So it was a great opportunity. So
it's moving the way that's what it takes to see the humanity and to do that. I'm actually moved because I just know what it's like to go into that space. It's so lovely. You know, I believe, you know, we want to get into some employment things as well. I don't want to spoil the story, but I think that you also, you know, worked with the team to get a job and then see, I'm crying. I can't help it.
Oh,
But just, you know, it's that welcoming to the meal that's so kind, and really nice. But yeah, tell us a little bit. I don't want to spoil this story, but tell us a little bit about how you got work. And I believe something really cool just happened with work again. Maybe you can tell us about.
so yes, Macy's hired me full time. So that was the last thing. But Goodwill in the Clubhouse really helped me get transition into that point, and they gave me transitional employment at a religious organization that helped me to gain money to support myself, because I feel like I wasn't doing well at all. But the Clubhouse really helped me and gave me tips. The unit meetings gave me tips on how to do an interview, and it really helped. I felt like I was more together at the interview. Did that answer your question?
Oh yeah, I think that did. Yeah, I mean, so it sounded like, and so now you just got a full-time job at Macy's. That's great. But that's not all that you do. I mean, what I really care about is that we have this, you know, that people like Liz and Carlene and everybody, and you, we're seeing each other as whole people, not just a job, but a whole person. And so maybe tell us a little bit about your art and, you know, kind of who you are, and get to know you a little bit, if you don't mind sharing that.
Okay. My art, I wanted to convey a Baroque style of music. I was really captivated by Handel's Flamen Rose and its beauty, and it's so grandeur, and I loved it. So from then I made one aria in French, and
Wow.
and after that, a couple of years later, I wanted to eliminate working with R&B music and just focus on the Baroque style music, because I felt like I have to give it up and progress forward. So the art and the music comes together, because in the Baroque period, they only had one subject matter for the higher power, and it's like hand in hand. So that's what I did.
I mean, that's amazing. I think that we are going to maybe, I'm not sure, but I think we're going to try to share a piece of art. Look at this beautiful piece of art. Can you tell us a little bit about this piece we're looking at?
So yeah, so that depicts the artwork for the song that I first did, Ensemble de Rosa, and it's in French. And it's so funny that you brought up that picture, because that's the one I was talking about. And it's three angels uniting in the sky, and the lower angel is coming from the fire. So it's
Wow.
like, and a pink fire at that. So it's very medieval. It's very captivating, and I use my knowledge from school to help me create these intricate images.
I love it. And, you know, what I love here is that that you submitted it through a competition to Jerusalem, and won, I believe, to go to Jerusalem. And now we're going to submit to go perhaps to Japan. So, you know, it's really that the Clubhouse seems like it's connecting with more than just, you know, a meal and a job. You know, is that the way it feels to you?
Oh yes. The Jerusalem competition was a great aspect in my life. I was so excited. The journalist came and asked me, would I be interested in going to Israel or Egypt? I said, Israel. And lo and behold, they said, oh, we have a competition that will go to Israel through art. So what I did was I went, because at the time I wasn't painting at all. That was a lost skill that I had before.
Wow.
So
What a great skill.
thank you. So then I went and got the canvas, actual canvas, and I painted it. I took my time and I painted it, and then I submitted it, and they loved it. Jerusalem Clubhouse loved it. And the one that's on the right, I submitted to Japan.
Okay. Well, this
culture, and yeah.
This is great. I mean, you know, to kind of take the whole, the whole journey here is that, you were a man who, had all this beautiful talent, and but you found yourself, needing support, and it sounds like Goodwill was able to, take you on take and support your journey. You're the one who did all the work, but certainly, did you, I guess, what are your goals for the future now that you have a full-time job and you're creating your art and doing this? What's next for Kegan? Oh, look at this.
Yeah, I'm going to continue doing art and music and combining them and make them fluent. I pay a lot of money that I earn on music. Even when I was younger at my mother's house, she would say, you need to, and a psychiatrist said that, you need to slow down with the music. But there was something in me that wanted to continue, even if I had barriers. I still there was a drive there, and I never stopped. So.
Well, that's wonderful. I really appreciate you sharing your story and your art with us, and with Goodwill. I mean, it's wonderful to hear how, how really transformational the Lantern House in its support of you has been, and just allowed you to shine as a whole person, and as a beautiful artist. So I love it. Thank you again. And Liz and Carlene, thank you for coming. Before we leave, I just want to say that, Goodwill, New York, New Jersey is really committed to helping people like Kegan and all of the folks at the Lantern House and everyone really remove these barriers and have a vision of a world where all our talents are recognized and celebrated, and we're able to contribute in our jobs, in our community, sharing a meal with each other. We really are trying to move the needle on some of these really important things, like 25% of people who are homeless have mental illness. That I'm looking at this, over 90% of the 11 million adults with serious mental illness are unemployed. You're breaking those barriers, Kegan. You moved out of the shelter, you're employed, and you're celebrating who you are. And it's really wonderful. And I'm so glad to be smashing those statistics with you. And for over 106 years, Goodwill New York, New Jersey has been working on helping people who are unemployed and underemployed get into work and find these communities and get and be able to celebrate together. So I didn't see any questions, and I think we're at the end of time, but this has been a wonderful Goodwill, good talk. It's certainly, it's brought me a little bit to tears, which is good. Just to hear the way that our teams are working together for all of this. So again, thank you. I hope if you joined today that you'll join again, and thank you again.
Thank you.